And we're live. Welcome, everybody, to Nina Goes Live, LinkedIn Straight Talk for coaches and creators. And my guest today is Chuck Anderson. We have a full half hour ish, plus ish, to talk about lots of very interesting things. For way of quick introduction, Chuck is an affiliate management expert and mentor, and also a podcast host. And these days, you're digging deep into events. We'll talk about all of that. And I'm really excited to have you here because when I met you, you were one of those rare people, which back then, this is a couple of years ago, had a framework. And it was so easy to understand what you did thanks to the framework and to sort of just you were immediately relatable and referable because you had this really amazing framework. I'm assuming by now that framework has, pivoted, moved on, like we all have to in this business or in this line of business. So, you really got me thinking about everything affiliate. So that was a big aha moment for me. So I'm very
wonderful. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, and we have become affiliate partners since. So we're putting our mouth where is this expression? We put our
money where our mouth is, right?
Yes,
Or
that
whatever.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. At least I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I think so. Well,
Mhm.
English, I always, it as my English is probably better than my German at this point, but then there's these moments where I'm like, okay, not mother tongue. So, Chuck, I have lots of questions about events and frameworks and affiliates and all that. But before we go there, I would love to just get a bit of a sense of how you got into this. Like I see on your LinkedIn that a prior life you had a company to do with families. So
Did.
but you've always sort of been in the marketing world, right?
Yeah, and that was more implementing the framework,
Okay. Yeah.
practicing what we preach type of thing. But
Yeah.
one of the origins of all of this affiliate marketing was I was kind of living and my dream job. I was recruited in the early 2000s to help teach people how to bring their businesses online, and affiliates were a big part of that. I got to travel the world giving seminars and also became the director of marketing of a $20 million seminar company,
Yeah.
where 40% of that 20 million came from our affiliates and our partners.
Wow.
And yeah, it's
Powerful.
more, almost half. But here's the interesting thing about that, and that is you take the other 60%, it was a mix of everything else. So
Mhm.
it was by far our biggest channel.
Mhm.
And when that dream job came to an end after the company was sold,
Yeah.
I no longer had the salary and all the perks that came along with that. I mean, it really was. I'd still be doing it today if it existed. But I had to go out on my own. And when you have a company and you run a marketing department, you have a team of people who execute. When you go out on your own, it's just you.
I had the
And
experience. Yes, yes, I hear you. I hear your pain. Yes.
yeah, and then so when I started to struggle
Mhm.
with that, because it was a completely different world, I had to think back to that time at the bigger company and say, well, what was it that really worked? And
Mhm.
it was our partnerships, it was our affiliates. And in fact, it got to the point where I needed to either go get another marketing director job
Mhm.
or get a miracle solution and we wouldn't be having this conversation today if we didn't. So this is where, in desperation, I scheduled a webinar. I had no way to fill the webinar. My list was kind of burnt out and
Mhm.
not big enough to fill it on its own. And so I got to work now, going through my list of contacts. I'm like, who do I know who could help me to fill this?
Mhm.
I finally found somebody who was willing to send out 3 emails to promote that event. He put just under 100 people in that event.
Oh,
And
wow.
we went from 0 to $36,000 in sales from that one event. And I was at 0. It was literally, we were going out of business, right? And
Wow.
we have been doing that ever since. A very powerful lesson was learned, and that is sometimes it only takes one affiliate.
Mhm.
And we need to learn how to leverage other people's lists. Like when we're not getting the lead flow, when we're not getting the registrations to our events, let's learn to partner with others. And that's really a lot of you talk about the framework. The framework was host an event, book calls or make your offer, and how do we fill those events? Well, that's where we use affiliates and partnerships to do that. And we're still using that framework today. It evolves, of course, with all of the AI and stuff, but yeah, that's really where it came from and why we're doing it this way and why we're so pro affiliate and partnership. You don't have to do this all alone. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that is, and that's the lesson I'm learning, by the way, too. So, my list was so dry, after a couple of years of just emailing to the same, I have a small email list, but a fairly dedicated one. But again, I mean, you can just beat a dead horse to a certain point, and then it's, aforementioned dead. But bringing in affiliates has been a blessing for us. So what are good ways, or how do you work with your clients to make sure that those affiliates stay happy, and that's the lesson so I'm now doing my third. Oh, Juan Soto, hi. I'm filling my third event now, right? And I learned very quickly that the first one was super easy because had all these amazing people that were in my network that helped fill the first event, and it was a blockbuster. It did amazing. I had a 35% conversion rate. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
But then came the second event. I'm like, whoopsie, all the big kahunas now shot it to their list. I went into those communities and talked to people. Now I need to get new affiliates or give the previous affiliates a break, or
Mhm.
so how do you keep, so double question, how do you keep existing affiliates so happy that when you call them they're like yay at the opportunity, and how do you get new ones?
Yeah, well, those are two very, very big questions. But let's start with the first one, because retaining an affiliate and getting them to repeat is easier than finding new ones.
New ones, as
Right?
with clients, right? It's the same
Yeah,
thing.
especially the way we do it, because we're focused on creating a relationship
Mhm.
where when your name comes up, they want to promote you. They
Yes.
want. So how do we create that desire? How do we create that feeling like I want to promote you? And the problem, this shines light on the problem with so many affiliate programs out there, is that they're extremely transactional.
Yeah.
Sign up for our affiliate program. Here's an affiliate link. Here's some marketing materials. Now go promote us.
Mhm.
And there's no training, there's no hand holding, there's no communication, there's no relationship building.
Mhm.
And so relationship building is key. And one of the things, you mentioned us promoting each other. I mean, one of the things that, because we had such a good experience the first time,
Mhm.
it's like anytime you have something to promote, anytime I have something to promote, we're there for each other, right?
Mhm.
That's the kind of relationship that you're wanting to create. And that comes from, really honoring your partners. And so many people make the mistake of, they push their partners too hard, their affiliates. And it's like, comes across very transactional. It comes across very one-sided.
Mhm.
If you can really think about what's in it for your affiliates, we want them, to generate leads back. We want them to generate sales. We want them to earn money.
Mhm.
And there's lots of ways to create that value where they're like, yes, I'll do it. But then to your point, their list might not be able to sustain a regular and ongoing promotion. So we do want them to repeat, but maybe they're only repeating 3 to 5 times a year.
Yeah.
Monthly is ideal, but maybe it's only 3 to 5 times a year. So then we have to create a pipeline of new partners. So we have to be always on the lookout of people who have influence over our ideal customer profile, and we have to be starting those new relationships. And you mentioned that I'm a podcast host. It's one of the reasons I have a podcast host, because here's the thing. Let's say I find someone on LinkedIn who would make a great affiliate, but we don't know each other. So what are my options? Well, what a lot of people do is they'll go to LinkedIn and they'll start DMing that person and saying, "Hey, Nina, we don't know each other, but I have a great offer that I think would be just ideal for your audience. And, we pay commissions of anywhere from $200 to $2,500. And I think we could really make a lot of money together. Would you like to get on a call and talk about that?" And it's like this outreach. It's just too soon. It's too soon to
marry
propose that.
on the first date. Yeah.
But if we don't know each other and I go, "Hey, Nina, I found you on LinkedIn and I see that we both serve, XYZ audience. And I love what you're doing with LinkedIn. Would you like to come on my podcast and talk about that?"
Well, but that's hell yes, right? Yeah.
Right. And now we're in a conversation, a relationship has begun. Now we can start to, once we know each other, at least have a reason to have that conversation. Now it's easier to bring in the affiliate conversation. And the relationship has begun. So we're always looking for ways to have that very organic conversation starter. And we don't have to beg and plead our affiliates to promote us. They just do, right? Because of the way we recruit them, the way we treat them, and they really feel like, I'm happy to be part of this.
Yeah. Now, you also have amazing systems set up. So, with you, I always feel super comfortable asking you to promote my stuff because I know that you're just going to put me into a landing page and say, "Pick your date, promote me back." And I'm like, that makes me so comfortable because I know that we are in a reciprocal relationship. But sometimes with other people, I always ask my affiliates, "What can I promote of yours?" And then many say like, "Well, maybe, I don't know," and then it's like, so it can, having systems in place is, I think, really, really important. I think also an element that you have, and I'm assuming this is on purpose, correct me if not, with the summits that you run and now the panels, that is also, do you focus on your affiliates first and foremost to give them another platform, or is that again more for bringing in new people?
It's both. It's both. And so we lead with, it's an opportunity for our affiliates to get exposure for their business. And I talked about earlier, like, how can you set things up in a way where your affiliates want to promote you? Well, one simple thing you can do is have them involved in your events, have them involved in the campaign. So that's why we like doing a lot of panels and summits. We do gift giveaways and bundled products and bundled offers as well. Like, there's lots of different types of collaboration campaign structures that we can do. But what it does is it involves your partners. It's not that they're just promoting something of yours and earning money, but they're part of it. And when you can make people part of it, you don't even have to ask. It's just so organic that the follow-through rate is extremely high. It's about 99%, where with the more transactional affiliate programs, it's more like 1%. And so you need a lot of affiliate. That's why people are playing the volume game and the transactional game. And
I've started going down that road, and it doesn't feel good because, as I said, my very first one, I had you, I had Tiffany Newman, I had Jason Van Orden. You are all like really solid partners of mine. And you all invited me to speak to your communities. Your communities already knew me. And that's why I think I had a 35% conversion rate, because I was not a stranger doing this accelerator, thing on LinkedIn. But then already by the time I did the second one, it was a completely different crowd, and my conversion rate was still excellent. It was, I think, 18 or 19%, but it was, I had a lot of really, like, people were asking a lot of tough questions during the accelerator. I had to sell really hard, you know. I'm like, wow, what a difference it makes in the quality of affiliates that you have. And that's how I've been like racking my brain, and I'm so excited about having this conversation with you. And I think, you know, for the audience as well, you know, is there, what can you create to give back and in abundance? Because in the end, I'm giving my affiliates a $7 return on every guest they bring, because my event is only $47 and they get a 40% off coupon. So they're not going to pay to put a down payment on a house with that, right? They're lucky to get a latte, at least here in New York, so at Starbucks. So, you know, we're not doing it for the money, right? So that's very clear.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that keeps a partner coming back is, I mean, obviously liking each other, and that's key.
Yeah.
But ultimately, is there a path to profitability or revenue generation? And so that's where having a really good back end offer. So let's say you have a $47 ticket, and you're paying most of that out in commissions. Then what's the offer on the back end? And that's why we always tell our affiliates, like, yeah, on our low ticket offers, you're going to make, 20, 30, $40. But that person, as they stay with us and they engage more and more of our services and they grow, that one referral could be worth $2,500 a year, depending on the level of service that they get with us. And so one of the best recruiting and retention tools that you can ever have with affiliates is send them money. Right. And so it's, hey, you earned a commission. Here's the money. Let's have a conversation about how we could do more. Right. And so
do you think really that it is, for most people, it is the money?
I think that's at some point that feeling is there. It's not for everyone. There are plenty who we have conversations with partners all the time where they value lead gen more than they value the commissions, because and those people are usually ones that know the value of a lead, and they have really good systems. They have very a lot of confidence in themselves to be able to convert that lead into much more than what they would get as a commission. So I think for each person, and this is where it comes back to relationships again, it can't be just a global attribute of your affiliate program, but really honoring, like, what does each affiliate value? For some people, it's they just like to give, and they're, the reciprocal nature of, I promote you, or you promote me, or thank you, I'm so grateful for being on your stage, yes, I'll happily promote this. Some people are looking to monetize, and then others are looking for that lead generation and exposure for their business. So I think knowing what each person values and then bringing that to the table is a key to getting that person to, first of all, participate, and then also repeat in the future.
And I think what's also important, and I know you have that down pat, is have a system for them that makes it really easy. Like, for instance, when my affiliates, I don't ask them to even post a link. Like, they don't have to post a LinkedIn post. They just have to share mine, which is the simplest, quickest, easiest thing they can possibly be doing. But this way, I have control over the messaging and the timing, and all they need to do is, save and pin it to their, or share it over to their wall and or their feed, and maybe add a sentence or two, and that's it, right? So makes it just really, really simple and easy. I mean, down the road, I'd love to have a landing page and all that kind of stuff for my affiliates. So
yeah, it's one of those things where you see a really nice affiliate landing page and you go, wow, it'd be really great to have one of those. But having one of those doesn't lead to more affiliates following through.
Yeah.
It's nice, but what really does, it's like what you just said, it's make it easy for them. And I always like to tell my clients, it's kind of like when you go to Walmart and you walk up to the doors and the doors just open, and you walk through, you don't even have to open the door. Well, how do we make it that easy for our affiliates, right? Where they don't feel like they've had to put a lot of effort into it. And so we give them everything, the emails, the social media posts, the images, the graphics, and then we even record a little video that says, here's how here's how you do this. You just copy, paste, and send, copy, paste, and post. It's only going to take you a couple of minutes. And that really helps because it reduces their anxiety. Because the first thing they do, even if you send them a landing page, is go, oh, this seems like a lot of work, or they glaze over the details. And it's like, no, like step 1, you do this, step 2, you do this, step 3, you do this. Thank you very much. And, if we can make it that easy, your follow through rate will shoot way up.
Yeah. I've learned that. I mean, I always like to send out the email that I call the kitchen sink, where everything is in one email, because there's people who appreciate saving that one email. But then I've also learned that I need to send out the information in little bits and pieces for those who are one sentence readers, of which there are more in the world than you care to acknowledge, right? So because everybody functions and works and takes in information differently. So yeah.
They do, and retain information differently. I was even on a meeting on Monday and we went through the kitchen sink. And so we kind of went through a list of things that were done. And then the very next question from one of the participants was, well, what about this? And
you just gone through it, right?
It was probably the first thing I said in that checklist. So I think it's good to have that one. That's the reference. It's like, here's your everything. And we give all of our affiliates a page that they can go and look at, and it tells them their stats and it gives them all of the key information and access to everything again. And we have a little video there that just, explains what it all is, because people, even though it's easy to figure out, they need that little lead forward, and it just reduces that anxiety. Like, okay, this is easy. I can do this. So we just try to make it as easy as possible for everyone.
And then, so new leads or new affiliate or promotion partners come through the podcast, and then just regular networking, or are there any other good places where they come from for you?
Yeah. So our podcast is great for engagement, but we first got to find them. Who do we want to promote? So we do a lot of networking. Networking is great. You get referrals from partners that you've worked with, or and when they really like working with you, your name comes up in conversations where you're not there, and that you start to get a reputation of like, I really like participating in this. Like, here's my friend. Like, my friend wants to get in on this too. So that's great. But outside of that, how do we find strangers and turn them into partners? How do we turn them into friends? And so this is where we turn to our good friend LinkedIn. LinkedIn is amazing because when we have a profile of exactly the audience we want to reach, we could turn to LinkedIn and say, who has influence over that audience? And so who do we want to get to know, because they serve the same people we do, but in a very complementary way. We're not competitors. So then that's where we do a lot of cold outreach on LinkedIn, not to become an affiliate. The people say, but it comes, there's no way to do it. We have found that doesn't come across very spammy. And everyone says they hate that anyways. So, but hey, I really like what you're doing. I think you would be a great guest on my podcast. I'd love to showcase you, right? So make it about them, not about you. Hey, will you promote me versus, hey, can I showcase you? Right?
Yeah, I mean, what a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my brain is like going a mile a minute right now. I'm like, oh my God, I used to have this amazing LinkedIn Roundtable live show. What about, resurfacing that and making it a thank you tool for to put like some of my affiliates. I'm thinking like who would match with whom, put people into groups and have conversation, because I love having conversations, um, hosting conversations. But then, yeah, a new tool. I mean, I do this live show, but this live show is more for me, going after people who have something really interesting to share. It's not a lead magnet for me, but one could rethink that part too, for sure.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of wisdom in going live because you're going to get a lot more reach when you do that, but I think it's also the consistency. What I find, if you're doing that consistency and they go, wow, that Nina is very consistent, like she does this every week, and
Yeah.
that builds trust. That builds trust. Whether they watch you or not, they observe like, oh, look at you, you're doing this very consistently. Then it's a signal to others that you know what you're doing and what you're doing works.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, I always say, I mean, everything on LinkedIn, it's all about consistency and the trust building that comes from it. And I mean, I couldn't have said it any better than you just did. So
don't ask me to repeat it because
no, it was brilliant.
It was a very in the moment answer to your question.
which I always love. Those are the best ones. Those are the best ones off the cuff. So let's talk just we don't have that much more time, but I would love to address a topic that is near and dear to myself, because I've been there, and I'm always curious to see how other small or smaller or smallish business owners are dealing with this. So when I met you, you hadn't yet done the event part of all of this. I mean, you already had your podcast. That's how we met. You invited me graciously to your podcast. I was pink. What's his tickled pink? Yeah, finally one I got right. And and we've been doing what we've been supporting each other's shenanigans ever since. So it worked. So, but you obviously had to pivot at some point, and you pivoted further into the events. Talk to me a little bit about pivots that you've had that are, I think there's natural pivots where you see a next opportunity, but I think then there are often also the pivots where your hand is being forced and you have to pivot, like when you went out on your own after having been employed in your dream job. And I mean, you've been in business for yourself now for how many years? Quite a few.
It's I think 28 this year. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I'm at 30. I'm at 30. I'm at 30 this. So I'm only 2 years ahead of you. Wow. So
congratulations.
Ditto. Yeah.
Yeah. So I find that the whole thing has been an evolution. I mean, right from we've always fell back on events. Even before virtual events, you did a lot of live events. I love webinars. They're so much easier to do than live events and less expensive too. Yeah. But we use them in our campaign structure a lot because they have a couple things going for them. One, they have built-in urgency and scarcity because they have capacity. They have a date and a time. So it's like if this event is happening at Thursday at 9 a.m. and it's Wednesday afternoon, you only have that amount of time to decide, am I going to go or am I not going to go? And so you take that and you compare that to another type of promotion, like a lead magnet or something like that, doesn't have that urgency. So that's one thing. And the other thing is it's rapid relationship building. If you're on a live webinar and we're now talking to each other, our relationship goes from here to here very, very quickly. Whereas you need a lot of email, you need a lot of social media engagement to equal that kind of nurturing. And so you can go from complete strangers to I feel like I know you in an hour, just by hosting events. So the combination of affiliates to fill the events, the built-in urgency and scarcity, and then that rapid relationship building is exactly why the model is the way it is.
Yep. I think that makes so much sense. And I even heard a woman talk at an event once where she was talking about the relationship of your ask to how much time people have spent with you. So if you are in a 30-minute, quick workshop, you cannot ask for the $5,000 purchase. You will be asking for 49 or 97 or whatever, dollar purchase. And then if you do a half day event, you can go to like $2,000. And she had run all these numbers, and I thought it was just so fascinating how the time we spend with people in the room, be it virtual or physical, makes as you said, it accelerates the relationship building exponentially the more time you can spend with people.
Yeah, it really comes down to trust. And when
Yeah.
you spend time with people, they trust you more.
Yeah.
And you can definitely go in an hour to a $5,000 sale. I don't think I would try to pitch it during the webinar. I would
No.
probably try to take that one-to-many conversation and bring it down to a one-on-one conversation that leads to the $5,000 sale. But yes, it's all very, very rapid relationship building. That's why that's what I was taught by my mentor when we started doing events. And we were doing, live events in seminar, in hotels and all of that, and very expensive thing to do. And now all we have to do is open up our browser, click Zoom, and now we have an event.
Yeah.
Right? And so,
I mean, it's amazing at the democratization, thanks to the internet, that just allows us, and which is one of the reasons why I'm so into LinkedIn, because it also democratizes my clients to get in front of people they otherwise would not have had a chance. It also opens them up geographically. It's just a really, amazing way to do business. And the more opportunities you have, the more so I think it's important that you focus on what serves you and don't go like, crazy all over the place. But that's a different conversation to have. Since this show is called LinkedIn Straight Talk for Coaches and Creators, and you've mentioned that you use LinkedIn, I have a couple of questions of you that I ask of all my guests. And I think the first one you probably have sort of answered already, but I want to ask it anyway. So why is LinkedIn important to you?
Yeah. And we've tried all the different platforms. It's
Mm-hmm.
the only one where I can find business owners that serve a very specific target audience. And, when we're looking for partners, we want to narrow it down. Now, I know LinkedIn isn't all business owners. There's people on there who are professionals and, they're maybe have jobs or in corporate or whatever, or looking for something. But it has one of the best search features I've ever seen, right? Like, just when you use all the filters, if I wanted to, search people from, a certain city who are in a particular industry, who also is a business owner, I can narrow that down to a very specific list. And then I can decide whether or not I want to connect with them and reach out to them from there. But it's a big shortcut to finding people in my industry who serve my target audience that I want to connect with. And so,
So I would imagine you have Sales Navigator.
I actually don't. It's I can see the value in it. We don't do enough volume to use Sales Navigator and to justify. I think it's, what is it, $167 a month now?
I don't know anymore. I used to have it for years, and I don't use it anymore. So where do you do that search? Because I think that would be really
I
interesting.
just use the advanced so you just use the search. Once you do your first search, then all of the advanced filters come in. So I will usually set it to like a second connection, and search specific keywords in their profile and their title, their job title line. And that has been accurate enough where now you look at the search results and go, oh yes, these are the types of people that I want to connect with. And then I will go through one at a time and say, yes or no, right? Yes, do I want to connect? No, I don't. If yes, then I grab their profile URL and put that in a Google Sheet. We can, if we have someone's Google or LinkedIn profile, we can use that later for outreach and contact. And then we have our team just send out 5 outreach messages a day. And it's colors well within the lines. We don't need Sales Navigator for this. It keeps our pipeline filled. 5 invites a day to be a guest on our podcast. And if we just do that one habit consistently every single day, we don't need the volume. Now, I recognize some businesses need thousands of leads, and
it's a different.
It makes sense, but there's a way to scale up what we're doing as well. And so, but yeah, that's my favorite feature is just the regular advanced search feature that's right at the top of everyone's LinkedIn.
Yeah. And again, I mean, you're speaking to the consistency part again, right? 5 a day. So you stay within what LinkedIn allows and not
I think we're well within that. I'm not sure what the actual limit is, but I don't think we're anywhere near it, right?
No. I mean, I know a friend of mine's wife got banned from LinkedIn for a good week. She was at an event with 1,000 attendees, and she's very driven. She spent the whole evening after the first day going through all the participants. We're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and inviting them all to connect with her on LinkedIn, and she got banned. I'm like, what did she do? And he's like, oh, she doesn't sleep much. I'm like, I guess so, because that must have been tedious work. But yeah. So
yeah, especially since you can't really automate that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can, in the old days, Robin and I sometimes look back and are a little ashamed of ourselves, but back then it was cool. We had these automation plugin tools that probably were all against, LinkedIn's API rules and best practices. And if there was like a breath or any sign of life in the DMs, they would get spammed with like a 6 or 7 suite of DMs where, so even if somebody wrote back no thank you after the first DM, that meant it's breathing, so it got all the others because there was no AI back then. So the automation couldn't discern whether it was a positive or a negative response. And sometimes when I look up people, and then I look at the message history, which I always do, and I'm like, oh crap, that was one of those early days. I mean, we're talking, Rob and I started working together in 18. So this is like 18, 19, maybe early 20s. And then we quickly learned that was not the way to build relationships. But yeah. So, and there we had a limit of, I think 100 a day, a week, or something like that. Yeah. Depending on which.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. And so, and that's the thing. We tried that as well. We were working with an agency and they created this whole, messaging thing. And the problem is that it was too much template, too much form letter, not enough personalization, right? Yeah. And it's like, I always like to prove that I have read your profile before I reach out to you. And so if I'm going to invite you to be on my podcast, I want to say, hey, I really like what you said about this, and I think we should talk about that on the show, right? And so
yeah, it's like when people invite me to video seminar, I'm like, did you look at my profile at all? Or, learn how to do LinkedIn better. I'm like, you might want to check my headline,
Oh yeah, it's very, very clear when people are spamming you because they get it wrong every time.
Yeah. So what is your biggest LinkedIn pet peeve?
LinkedIn, I find, has evolved in terms of the types of content that is being posted. It used to be very business oriented. And I think that it is becoming more and more like Facebook. And so there's a place for the personal posts and perhaps even the political posts, but I came to LinkedIn because I wanted to network with other business owners or people connected to certain companies and businesses. And I think that's what it was intended for. But it, the sort of content that has evolved the post. So I don't read posts as often, but I do love it for, doing research on who do I want to connect with and then making those personal connections. But the feed the feed needs to clean up or be more algorithmic and realize I don't consume that content, so don't show it to me, right? And so
Yeah, I mean that would be one of my bigger things, and that's not a LinkedIn behavioral, pet peeve, as in what other people do to me. It's more like LinkedIn, get your shit together kind of thing, where it is. I mean, in a way, it's actually blessing in disguise because I never doom scroll. I never ever doom scroll on LinkedIn because it's just not a pleasant thing to do because I never see what I want to see. I never see my clients. I never see my leads. I never see my influencers. I always see random stuff where I'm like, why on earth would LinkedIn think I want to see this? Just really odd things, nothing I'm even remotely interested in. And that is, I don't get it. I don't get it. On the other hand, it saves me so much time because, I'm on LinkedIn all the time, way too much, because I do go to bed with my phone in hand, which I know is the worst habit ever. And it's just the way it is. I still sleep well. So, so I'm on there all the time. So the opportunity to doom scroll is really high. And it's a reason why I removed all the other social media off of my phone and I only consume it on my desktop. So I will not go down the rabbit hole. So
yeah. So in a way, it's a positive because it prevents you from doom scrolling, and it's a big productivity hack.
On the other hand, I would love to discover new interesting people, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And those things are in there. The feed isn't, useless, but you do have to kind of sort through all of the other things that you don't want to see. And that's why I've resorted to, the search. And so I'll just search for, who's an expert in this, or who's got that in their job title, or who's got that in their description. And then I'll go and look at them and see what they're posting. Right. And so,
some inspiration.
You can't doom scroll that. You have to do that very intentionally.
Yeah, that's an intentional. I mean, it still can be a time suck, but then at least you're on the way to what you need to be doing anyway. So yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time and for being so generous in sharing, what works and what doesn't and how you do it. So it's always, for me, I always so much look forward to having these conversations because I always learn so much, and I hope with that does my audience. And here's Dan Smolin, who's a fellow LinkedIn Live producer who has a weekly show, bless his heart. I have not had yet the heart to go weekly. I still do monthly. I'm a chicken that way. So he's saying he's really hard. He's trying really hard to break LinkedIn's fourth wall to grab the reader's full attention. It's getting more challenging because there's a lot more people posting. Yeah, for sure. But I think also if you have a niche and like you have one, I know Dan has his show is the perfect work fit. We all, if we are in our niche and we let the algorithm know what our niche is consistently, that is a new trend and a very important one to know about the new algorithm, AI-driven algorithm of LinkedIn. I think then we get to, then it's easier to break that fourth wall. So,
and I think part of it is user behavior. One of the thing, and I don't have data to back this up, but it seems true. And that is that people use LinkedIn differently than they use, let's say, Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or whatever. And that is, and my perception has always been, it's been more of a professional network. And so I, for one, I don't go on it every day for long periods of time. And so I might be posting, really we're using it to research people we want to connect with and then sending our 5 DMs, and then we turn it off until the next day and then answer messages. But I don't think the 24/7 attention that maybe Facebook or YouTube or some of these other channels are getting, I don't think it's there. And I think in a way that's a good thing because we're getting the reach to the people who they're more serious. They're people that we would want to connect with. So it's quality over quantity is how I like to think of LinkedIn.
And that's always like my answer to why LinkedIn is it's a very clean conversation or proposition. I know why I am on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn to do business, not to watch cat videos, or in my case, doggy videos, and get the newest recipe. I am on LinkedIn to do business, right? And maybe get some inspiration.
Exactly, exactly. There's some really good posts there, and one of my favorite things is I like to see news about mergers and acquisitions,
Mhm.
and so like who's buying. It's kind of a hobby of mine to kind of track the idea of buying and selling companies and investing. I like to see that kind of stuff, or the new innovation thing, or who's launching a new service or whatever. And so when I see those are the things that tend to get my attention, and everything else, like you said earlier, it's a great productivity saver because it's not going to promote the doom scroll.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very good. Well, thank you so much. And I know we could go on for quite a while
Oh
longer.
yeah.
I'm gonna this is it. Thank you so much for your time. This was a wonderful conversation, and I look forward to our ongoing partnership, which has been absolutely wonderful. So, and for teaching us how to do it right. So, thank you so much, Chuck.
All right. Thank you, Nina. Pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you to everybody watching. Thank you for being here. If you're watching the replay still, please feel free to ask questions in the comments. Just mention Chuck or me, so we get to see it actually. And thank you so much for spending your time with us. Be well, and we'll see you next month.